This is Road to Ruin by Ramones. Let's talk records. It is early 1974 in Forest Hills, Queens. John Cummings and Douglas Colvin asked Jeff Hyman to start a band. Hyman had been the singer of a glam proto-punk band called Sniper. Colvin played guitar and sang, while Cummings was also the guitarist, and Hyman was the drummer, with a friend of theirs playing bass. Once they realized their bass player didn't actually know how to play bass, Colvin moved to bass while still continuing singing. Colvin started to call himself Didi Ramone, inspired by how Paul McCartney used the pseudonym Paul Ramone when he would check into a hotel. Soon enough, Didi convinced the rest of the guys to also adopt the last name Ramone, with Cummings becoming Johnny Ramone and Hyman becoming Joey Ramone. Didi even convinced them to name their band Ramones. Thomas Early, who had played with Johnny in a garage band called Tangerine Puppets, was set to become their manager. Once Didi realized that he couldn't play bass and sing at the same time, Artelai convinced them that Joey should be the singer. Once Joey realized that he couldn't sing and also play drums, they started to audition drummers. When Artelai played drums to show how the beat should go, they decided that he was good enough to be their drummer, and he became Tommy Ramone. Ramones played their first concert at Performance Studios March 30th, 1974. Soon enough, they became popular at local legendary clubs like CBGB's and Max's Kansas City. In no time, due to their fast songs clocking in under 2 minutes and their style with leather jackets, unlike hippie culture that was still prevalent back then, they began to get a following. They signed with Sire Records and released their self-titled debut album in 1976, which of course would be immensely influential to the new wave sound and this nascent culture called punk. Even though critics fell in love with this going back to basics, rock and roll, groundbreaking music, the album only reached 111 on the Billboard Top LPs chart. When Ramones traveled to England, it helped energize the burgeoning punk movement that was also flourishing there, influencing many punk bands to come. Same thing happened when they traveled to Los Angeles and the impact that it would have to future legendary punk bands there, as well as many other cities in the United States. Their second album, Leave Home, in 1977, however, charted even lower than their debut album. Later that same year, Ramones released their third album, Rocket to Russia, which did better, reaching number 49 on the chart. By 1978, Tommy didn't want to tour anymore and wanted to focus on production. The band then began looking for drummers around town. While at CBGB's, Didi approached friend Mark Bell, who had been in another trailblazing punk band, Richard Hell and the Voidoids, and asked them if he wanted to join Ramones. Bell then would become Marky Ramone. The band began recording their next album between May and July of 1978 at Media Sound Studio in New York, 3 weeks after Marky had joined the band. This production took longer and it would be more costly. Road to Ruin by Ramones was released September 22nd, 1978 on Sire Records. It was co-produced by Tommy, credited as T. Artelai, and also Ed Stasium, who had been a recording engineer for the Chambers Brothers, Sha Na Na, Gladys Knight and the Pips, and had also engineered fellow New York New Wavers Talking Heads' debut album, as well as Ramones' Leave Home. For this album, the band decided to broaden their musical horizons, including heavy metal inspired guitar solos, ballads with acoustic guitar, and songs that lasted longer than 3 minutes. The album cover was created by Ramones fan Gus McDonald, but the original illustration still featured Tommy on drums. Artist John Hallstrom, who is an underground cartoonist and founder of legendary Punk magazine, altered the picture to show Marky on drums. Sadly, the album received lukewarm reviews, and it only went to 103 on the albums chart in the US. In the United Kingdom, however, it reached number 32. Needles and Pins was a single released from the album. It is a cover of a Sonny Bono, Jack Nitzsche written song that was originally performed by Jackie DeShannon in 1963 but made popular by the Searchers in 1964. Unfortunately, Ramones' version did not chart on the Hot 100. Don't Come Close is another single released that same year, but it also didn't chart. She's the One was released in the UK in 1979. The album also included one of Ramones' most popular songs, I Wanna Be Sedated. It was first released in the Netherlands in 1979 and later released in the US in 1980 on RSO Records. A music video was made for the song 10 years later in 1988 to promote the compilation Ramones Mania. The song ultimately went platinum in the US. The song Bad Brain on the album inspired the name of legendary Washington, D.C. punk rock band Bad Brains. Even though the album received mixed reviews initially and it didn't chart that high, it is now known as a fan favorite. If you're a record collector like me, Road to Ruin by Ramones is an essential classic punk album to have in your collection.